taking care of the seniors in Hamilton County is an issue that is taking root, as well as other issues that I know all the candidates are going to be addressing as well. I want to thank the candidates for taking time out from your busy schedules to join us. We're very proud of this facility, and I know a lot of you have not been here before, but many of you have been. And so we're always glad to roll out the red carpet to show off our facility, and to have this kind of turnout is I think very gratifying for everyone. It kind of reminds me of the Clay Township board meeting when we had a standing room only. We're close to it today. So again, thank you very much. Now, I just want to say that we will be limiting your remarks to 5 minutes, and Cindy will be the sergeant at arms, and she will hopefully give you a sign when you have 1 minute left. And if you go over 5 minutes, then we kick you out. And I'm going to ask the audience, because we've got a big crowd here, I'm going to ask the audience to please give these men and women who are wanting to do public service, to give them your undivided attention, and that way we can all benefit from this meeting. So again, I want to thank the candidates, and I want to thank all of you for joining us. And with that, I think I'm going to turn it over to our moderator. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I do. There's one person I want to introduce, and that is our board president, Marcia. I'm sorry. Marcia Clarvald, everyone. Please give her a round of applause.
It warms my heart to see so many interested attendees at this town meeting today. It is encouraging to me here to see the true example of community. We're eager to hear the viewpoints of our honored guests on community issues, and especially senior issues. Today, we have the opportunity to start a new era, which again, other communities will want to duplicate what Carmel has done. I thank you all for coming today, and God bless you, and let's get the questions on the go.
Thank you, Marcia.
So our moderator today is Melody Cochran, and she is one of our board members. Really hope that I pronounced your last name correctly. Did I? Okay, cool. And she will be introducing each of the speakers for them to speak. I will be handing you, or at least the first person I'm going to hand you, the mobile mic. You can use that to speak, and Melody will be using the standing mic. And when you're finished, if you just pass it on to the person that she calls next. All right. You ready?
Yeah. Good afternoon. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
No, turn it on.
It's on. Okay. How about that? Is that better? Yes. Okay. Well, thank you very much, Cindy. As she said, my name is Melody Cochran, and I work on the board here for PrimeLife. And I'm just happy to be here with you today and learn more about these candidates. So we're going to go down the line. We're going to ask each candidate to speak for 3 minutes. And then after each candidate has had the opportunity to speak, we'll go to the question session when you all can have an opportunity to ask questions. Okay, so we have our candidates in line here. I did hear that Tony Green might have to leave a little bit early, so I'm going to go ahead and call on Tony first, and then we're going to go to Teresa Ayers.
Thank you. Yeah, hopefully if I go over 5 minutes, you're going to kick me out, because I got to get to a meeting at 2 o'clock, and that's why I'm going downtown at Indianapolis. I'm Tony Green. I'm running for the South Central District. South Central District's between Ditch on the west side and Lakeshore Drive, just east of Keystone on the east side, and then from 96 up to 116th, and then 131st in a few places. But give you a little bit of background about myself. Born and raised Northwest Ohio. I had appointments to the West Point and Air Force Academy. I decided to go to Air Force Academy. Graduated from Air Force Academy, and I was an active duty Air Force pilot for 11 years. Ended up getting out of the active duty Air Force, late 90s, came home after a bunch of deployments, and my first daughter, I was only home for 2 out of the first 12 months of her life. Decided that's the way I wasn't gonna raise my family. So ended up moving to Indiana. My wife's from South Bend, Indiana. Like I said, I'm from Northwest Ohio, so it made real sense to come to here. I went to law school downtown at McKinney School of Law. And then while I was in law school, I continued to fly at Grissom Air Force Base, just north of Kokomo, for a few years while I was in law school. Everything went great. Halfway through law school was going well, and then 9/11 happened. Deployed for a year, 33 combat missions in Afghanistan. Came back, finished law school, went to work at a big law firm, and then today I'm the deputy director at the Indiana Public Retirement System. So if there's any turf members, see some police officers in the background there. Yeah, I'm deputy director at the Indiana Retirement System. Right now, this is a busy time of year with the legislature. Met with a couple state senators this morning. I have another meeting at 2 o'clock downtown. So that's why I have to get out. I've been on the city council for a couple of terms. Originally, my district went all the way to Michigan Road, and now it's slowly moving me central. So the district, some of the places are kind of new to me. During my time on the city council, I'm the only person that I know of, well, definitely in the last 7 years, to ever vote against the budget twice. And there were some good things in the budget, but I didn't feel that we were emphasizing some important areas. Number one, investing in the infrastructure. We weren't investing enough, I thought, in the infrastructure, specifically cities, obviously roads, streets, and some of the drainage issues that we have. So I wanted more money there, and I still believe we need more investing in infrastructure going forward. I didn't think we had enough police officers. Right now, if you look, our per capita per police officers is low compared to what it would normally be for a city of 105,000 people, especially when crime is as bad as it is south of 96th Street. And crime, just with some police officers at a neighborhood meeting a few days ago, the number of burglaries are increasing, number of thefts are increasing. That's only going to happen as our population increases. Also, the mayor and others have said over the next 10 plus years, population is going to go from about 105,000 to 150,000. Right now, I don't believe we're spending enough on infrastructure and public safety for 100,000, let alone 50,000 more people over the next 10 years. The time to start investing is now, not 10 years from now. So those are two of my biggest priorities. And the others, if you look at the voting record, I've been one of the individuals to more than occasionally vote against a lot of the overdeveloping I believe is going on, cutting down a lot of trees, taking out some of the small forest around here. I've been trying to slow that down, and I'd like your support come. I'm not, no one's opposing me here in the primary, but next general election. So I continue to continue focusing on those priorities going forward. Thanks, everybody.
Okay. Next one is Teresa Ayers, and she's a Republican for the Carmel City Council District, North Central.
Hello, everyone. It's great to be here today. I'm Teresa Ayers. I'm running for Central District, as she said. I am currently the North Central District Counselor. So I am happy to help you with any questions that you currently have through this term. A little bit about myself. I was born and raised in Carmel. I am one of 8 kids. We all went to Our Lady of Mount Carmel, and I went to Carmel schools. And I went to school in Virginia, college in Virginia, played soccer and ran track and cross country. I'm here today, and I want to support our city. As Tony said, I think safety is something that we need, public safety, and responsible growth, and absolutely taking care of our seniors. So that is me.
Next, we have Courtney Culver. Courtney is a Democrat running for Carmel City Council, North Central District.
Did I hear some yays? Hi, I'm Courtney Culver. I live here in the North Central District, which is where we're sitting right now, and I've lived here for almost 12 years. I was born and raised in Bedford, Indiana, I don't usually get a shout out from anybody that's from Bedford. Yeah, Bedford. Okay. Bedford, Indiana, born and raised. I went to undergrad in Franklin College, got a journalism degree there. Met my husband in 2001 in Michigan. So I lived in Michigan for about 7 years and got my master's there in organizational leadership. I came back to Indiana in 2007. We have a daughter who has gone to Carmel Elementary School, Carmel Middle School, and she's about to graduate from Carmel High School. I know, it's gone so fast. So I sincerely love Carmel. I love the North Central District. I love all the things that have happened so far, and as it grows, as Tony mentioned, it's projected to grow quite a bit. I want to make sure that we prioritize safety, fiscal transparency, and responsibility, and also advocacy. I want people in the North Central District to know that they have a voice in city council and municipal government, and that's what I hope to do. So I am the only Democrat running in this district, so I'll sit back and let these three fight it out on May 2nd. Then I would love your vote on November 7th in the general election. Thanks so much.
Introduce yourself, Chuck.
Yeah, I'm Chuck Ford. Can you hear me? All right. I've been a citizen here in Carmel. I came down in 1983.
A little closer to the mic.
Yeah, so I've been around for about 40 years. I grew up on a farm till I was about 12. Then my dad moved me to the region. I finished my school career at LaPorte High School and went back after college and taught and coached at LaPorte. Came down here in 83 and started teaching and coaching here. And I retired from teaching social studies in 2006. If you want to find out a little more about me, my bio is on my website, and also I have the flyers out here, so I'm not going to go into that. But I think you probably would be interested in what I'm really all about. I'd like to thank PrimeLife. I've been pushing hard for the last 6 months to help PrimeLife out. I think I made it a political issue in this campaign for everyone. And my big issue initially was, I talked to Gary, is I discovered that the city of Carmel designates in their city council 1% of their budget to art, and we're talking about millions and millions of dollars, and they don't budget anything for senior citizens, zero, not 1 penny. And this place here operates on donations and grants. And it's pretty hard in a down economy like this, in the post-COVID world, to keep this place going. So what I'm calling for city council is for a percent of the city budget to be dedicated to PrimeLife.
Yeah.
So I've talked to a lot of people. I've met with a lot of people, a lot of these people, in fact, council persons. And I do have a big PrimeLife rally at the VFW on April 29th. I'm paying for it. I've got a band there. They'll have food and bar open. It should be fun. Doesn't cost anything to get in, but I'm looking for donations and help from PrimeLife.
Okay.
So everybody come,
Yeah.
bring your checkbooks, and let's help them out. Okay, issues that I'm concerned about. I'm concerned about the debt. We have a $1.6 billion, that's what it be, $1 billion debt. We need to look at it. If it doesn't bother people, that's a problem, because $1.6 billion used to be a lot of money. So I'm calling for a moratorium on borrowing, and we can get until we get this debt under control, get a plan to deal with it. You can't borrow and you can't spend your way out of debt. And that's kind of what Carmel has been doing for the last 20-some years. Another big issue that I have is rapid urbanization. Many people, as I go through this district, are really upset about the big apartments that are going in.
Oh, yeah.
And they're a problem. And since I taught urban geography and studied urban geography, I know that the same things are problems all over the world. That make a difference whether it's New York City or Indianapolis or Carmel. When you have rapid urbanization like this, you always have traffic congestion, increased stress and conflict because of the number of people there. And you have air pollution, you have water pollution, you have noise pollution, and you have light pollution. And of course, as Tony mentioned, crime. And I talked to Sue Finkham just the other day, and she was at my town hall, and she told me that we've got to do something about the crime that's creeping north into Carmel from south of 96th Street. And if you get on like next door or something like that, you'll see that there's burglaries, car break-ins that we never used to read about or hear about. So that's important. I am going to be a candidate of the people. I haven't sought or have received or asked for any money from big business or from the political machine. All my money comes from the people. So when I get on the council, the only group I intend to represent are the people. I'm not bought, I'm not paid for by any machine or by any money hideout construction companies or builders or anything like that. So that's kind of what I'm about. I want you to know that if I am elected, I'm elected to serve people.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Leah York, and I am running for the North Central District on the City Council, which is right where we are right now. Roughly, it is 146th down to 116th, and 31 over to Keystone, give or take in some areas. So I grew up in Carmel. I've been here pretty much since 1982. Returned after college to raise my family. And I care very passionately about Carmel and our future. So just a little bit more background on me. So I own a business and I have a master's degree in business. I've done a lot of financial work for nonprofits across the country. That's what my business does, is to work with nonprofits and work with a lot of boards. And so I have a lot of experience in collaboration and in negotiation. And those are the types of things that I think are really important on the city council because we've got to work together. So the things that I think are really important as we've grown, of course, as has already been said, I hear it, and I hear it from my mother, who's actually in the room. The parking, the traffic, there's congestion. So these are all natural consequences of a developing city. And so I would really like to be a part of the solutions for those things. So the reason I'm running, not just because I love my city, so a lot of you do as well, but a couple of years ago, I moved onto the Monon Trail from my home in the Southeast District. And I saw so much activity and building going on, and I was curious, just natural curiosity of how things were decided and what was going where and all of that. And so I decided to go to the source. So I've been going to city council meetings and planning commission meetings and BZA meetings and a lot of other meetings that they let me crash for 2.5 years so that I can be prepared once I'm elected to serve as your city councilor. So I have a good understanding of the projects that are coming through. There was a lot of fast activity while we had a councilor who wasn't able to serve for a couple of years. And so I think we need to be very thoughtful as we continue to develop our city. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Shannon Menard. I just want to say thank you to PrimeLife for hosting this event. Gary, Cindy, thank you so much, and for the lunch that you guys prepared for us. My name is Shannon Menard. I am running in the Northeast District, which my husband keeps telling me because I get lost in paper sack. That is 146 Cary Road, River Road to 126 with a little jog through Cary and 136th Street. So a little bit about me. I was a stay-at-home mom. I raised my children here. We moved here in 2000, so 23 years. I've been married to my husband, David, for 30, and that will be in July. And I spent most of my life in Carmel giving back to my community. I thought it was important to give back. I joined our PTO when my kids were little. I thought it was important to be a part of the school system. learning about what was going on inside our schools. I was PTO president for a year and a half. I ran the after-school enrichment programs, the bookmobile. And then after my kids said, no, you can't be in my schools anymore, you need to go find something else to do, I found out that our HOA needed help. So I joined our HOA board and became president of our board and ratified our covenants, which made me a really popular lady. After that, I took a step back, and if I wanted glutton for punishment even more, I became a part of the building committee. I just retired from that when I decided to run for city council. So I did work part-time outside of the home for 13 years at Brookshire Golf Course, 1 or 2 days a week. And that was more for my own sanity, so I could have adult conversation when I wasn't working outside of volunteering outside of the house. And I was also president of our Ladies Golf League, which I really enjoyed. I still enjoy playing golf. Currently, I serve as vice chair of the Carmel Symphony Orchestra. I'm very, very, very passionate about symphonic music. It calms my brain in a very crazy world. I'm also serving my second term as a commissioner on the Carmel Cable and Communications Commission. That's a mouthful. And the reason I'm serving is because I feel like it's the next right thing to do. I was raised in a family where you're supposed to give of yourself when you can, and I feel like it's my honor. And for me, serving my neighbors, serving my community is very important. And my platform is simply making sure that my neighbors have a voice. I believe in intentional leadership. I believe that everybody should be able to be heard, and that voice should be taken back to our city council. I believe that we need to be fiscally responsible, and I also believe that strong communication is key. So I'm just going to leave you with this. Make sure you all go out and vote on May 2nd. Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Adam Austin. I'm the city councilor representing the Southeast District. I see a few of my constituents here in the audience. That is, for the most part, east of Keystone, south of 126th Street, with a few exceptions here and there. Before I ran for office, I actually was a business owner in Carmel. I owned Donatello's Italian restaurant. It was open for about 10 years in the downtown area. My parents have since retired, and now I get to spend more time with my daughter since I work a normal 9 to 5 in corporate communications. My daughter's 4, so she keeps me very busy. I love this city, and I'm proud of the work we've done so far. But I always tell people, it's really not about what I think or I want as a city councilor. It's really about the people of my district and what they feel are the issues that matter. And that's why I spend a lot of time talking to people on the phone, knocking on doors, not just in election years, holding town hall meetings, sending out a regular newsletter. And what residents tell me are the things that they are caring about in this election is they're concerned about the number of apartments and the lack of empty nester housing in the city. That's something, as a member of the Plan Commission for Carmel, I really take seriously. They are looking at pedestrian safety in crossing. You know, I like to ride my bike. I like to walk my dog. I love roundabouts, but they do not make them easy to cross the street. We do see in our downtown some raised crosswalk bumps that work great in our downtown area. I like to see that throughout the city, because I think that every part of the city, you should be able to safely cross the street. Safety is important. And we mentioned before, people are concerned about crime creeping up from Marion County. That's why I've been a big supporter of our police department and making sure they have the tools they need in our budget every year. And that's something that I'm committed to do. And then people are also concerned about their taxes. You know, assessed values have gone up, and it is tough for people. I'm proud to say that during my term in office, the residential property tax rate has not increased. It has stayed the same. But that is something we need to continue to look at, because it is tough for people. And it's something I do take seriously. There's some things I've done that I'm very proud of in my first term. I passed 2 ordinances to strengthen protection for pets, cats, and dogs. I don't know about you, but I'm an animal lover, and I want to make sure that animal abuse is never acceptable in our city, and those that do such a despicable act are punished. I voted proudly to bring Needler's Grocery to Southeast Carmel, and I think that's been a great addition to the area with no city taxpayer debt for that project. There's no taxpayer debt for that project. So that is a great addition to the area. We had 2 new crosswalks come into Southeast Carmel at 116th Street and 126th. I think the 116th is working pretty well. 126th, I'd like to see it improved. But it's a step. We're making progress there. And I push for transparency in our spending. An example of how I've done that is when we had road bonds come through, I'm the one who made the amendment saying that the road money cannot be spent on roundabout art. You know, we have some beautiful roundabout art in this city. I'm not opposed to all of it, but road money should be spent on roads. And I'm hearing a lot of people say that perhaps we need to put more money into our road repaving budget as we continue to grow as a city. And that's something I think we should seriously consider. So I'm unopposed in May. I am a proud Republican. I am your Republican nominee if you're in the Southeast District. I hope to have your vote in November. And if you live in my area, or even if you don't, please reach out to me with anything you might need.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jeremy Eltz. I'm Adam's opponent for November, the Democrat. Really happy to be here. Thanks for having me. I really want to give Chuck my card because I like his style. You know, we don't like the way politics are ran, right? None of us really do. And part of it is the funding. So I really appreciate you doing that. And I've made the commitment to not accept funding over $100. So I'm not funded by developers like Chuck. I appreciate that. We need to start a change where our city councilors aren't bought and sold by developers. If you check their campaign records, you'll see why they vote the way they do. They can say all they want that they're here to listen to you, but if you're not going to give them a big old fat check, they're going to vote the way the developer tells them to. So you remember that. So I want to get with you and talk a little bit about what we can do. All right. My platform is, again, give the voice back to the Southeast District, kind of like what Adam said. I really like a lot of his platform. I've checked out his website. Seems like a Democrat to me. So that might be something to consider. I really want to look at the budget. Obviously, the debt concerns us all. And, you know, a newcomer, I don't know the debt that well. All right. I don't know the budget that well. I'm not on the city council yet, but it's something I want to look at. The art spending obviously is huge. Maybe we could buy a bus for public transportation for that. Wouldn't that be nice to have public transportation in Carmel? Yeah. I ran for county council in 2018. All of the county councilors said, yeah, public transportation. You know what happened? Nothing. Because we keep voting for the same people, you get the same results. So how about in November, all of you vote for somebody different? Thank you, Jeremy Eltz.
Hi, everybody. I'm Ryan Locke. I'm running for Carmel City Council Northwest. I'm very excited about this. Thank you so much for being here today. I know I'm right in the middle. It's been a long slog at this. I'm so grateful for you to be here. So it's been really fun. It's great to kind of hear what other people are saying to you because I get to learn from them about what they think you care about. What I also want to do is hear from you guys what you care about. That's the big part of this. I've never run for anything before. It's my first time running for office. I want to be a city councilor. I care about Carmel. I care about the direction we're moving. We're at an inflection point right now where we're going to have a new mayor. We're going to have new councilors that are in front of us helping make decisions and fix this budget and make sure we're moving in the right direction, hopefully for the next few decades, right? I mean, that's how this works. We've got Mayor Brainerd, who is retiring. It's 30 years of direction, mission, vision that has come to its culmination point. And we're going to have to figure out what the next 30 years look like. I think a huge, huge part of that, based on where we are in the life cycle of the city, is making sure that our elders, my parents, you guys, grandparents, are taken care of, they're thought of. For me, I'm 37. I've lived here my whole life. My dad graduated from Carmel High School in 1975. His parents lived here for a few decades before that. Been here forever. I've seen it. I remember when nothing was at 146th Street. I remember when Galleons was put in, and it changed the world. You get to go climb a rock wall and get new rollerblades. It was so awesome. It's completely different, and that's just the course that cities take. We're at that next phase. We've got to figure out what we're going to look like the next 30 years. And I think a huge part of that is making sure that our empty nesters, my parents, you guys, are taken care of. We're not a county seat, so we don't get a ton of funding from the state government, which I've worked for the last 8 years to take care of senior needs. There are things we can do locally to ensure that quality of life in the place that you've chosen to live is taken care of. I think as a council, as you'll hear from other candidates here, we're ready to talk about that. We're ready to look at that because it matters to the next generation. It matters to me and my wife, who have chosen to raise our 2-year-old and our 8-week-old here and want to stay for the rest of our lives, that our parents can live here forever too. That they, as they downsize and move out of the house, that all of the memories from my childhood and my sister's childhood were made, that their life was lived, that they don't have to move out of the city that they chose to live and love, that they don't have to move so far away that we have to make it an issue to hang out with them or to hang out with their grandkids. It matters. It matters to me. It matters to our generation that you guys, that your needs are taken care of. So I'm really excited to be up here, to be in front of you, to be making these connections, to be part of these conversations because I love this place. I chose to come back and live here and want to live here forever. I want to be in this building, maybe with a different color green on the walls in 30 years, but having a blast. And that's just, our style is probably a blue or a red in my generation. The green is great. But one life to be, from cradle to the beyond here in Carmel for everybody. And that is important. So thank you so much. Thank you for your time. Please reach out. Palm cards are on the table. I just got those. I'm proud of them. My mom says that's the best picture of me ever taken. That's why it's on there. My sons are on the back. And I did that, intentionally because they're cute, but also because we have to remember that this isn't a game. This is our lives. This is our city. This is where we live. This is where we play. This is where we love. This is where we grow old. This is where we learn. All of those things matter. And I want to make sure that my boys decide to choose to live here so that I don't have to move out wherever they are when I'm a grandparent, and they can come hang out here too. So with that, if you're looking for more information, it's lockforcarmel.com. Look at my palm card, take a picture and show everybody how good that headshot is. And then please feel free to reach out. I'm here to learn, to grow. We do this together. It's a great place to live because you chose to live here. Thank you for doing that. So thank you very much.
Good afternoon. I'm Lauren Mathis, and I am running for City Council in the West District, which is mostly west of Ditch and some parts west of town, and in some parts west of Shelburne. So I don't know how many people are from that area, but so I've lived in Carmel about 20 years, but I actually grew up around Chicago suburbs, and then I went to Notre Dame. And then after Notre Dame, I worked for the city of South Bend, and then I ended up staying in Indiana and eventually in Carmel. I have 3 sons, all married, and 8 grandchildren. But I think the reason I'm running for council is I have financial expertise that I think would be an asset to our city council. I worked for a public accounting firm and a consulting firm. I was a partner. I was certified by the SEC as a municipal advisor. And then I spent my 35-year career dedicated to advising cities and towns on financing, capital improvements, academic development, and also fiscal management. And I worked with large cities, small cities, towns, rural areas, fire station projects, road projects, all kinds of projects. Worked with cities, older cities like Muncie and Marion, where they have more financial issues. So just a lot of experience working with all kinds of folks and helping find the revenues to finance projects. I have obviously an understanding of how budgets work and how to finance. I actually taught workshops. Do we need to pause?
No. It's a wiring.
Should I proceed? All right, okay. All right. So anyway, I retired in 2021, and I felt blessed because I was able to spend more time with my family, grandkids, my mother who was ailing, and also be more involved in, I've always been involved in some church community activities, but I was kind of looking for that one thing that would really, I could be passionate about. And I saw that there was going to be a new mayor, new council members, and I thought that would be an awesome way to serve the community and to use my background to, help the community. I am passionate about Carmel, and I know there are people have talked about problems, but I do think overall we have an incredible quality of life. I love our vibrant downtown. I love our parks and trails and our recreational opportunities. I love our arts and our performance arts. There's just so much for everybody of all ages. We have excellent schools. We have excellent infrastructure. We have excellent public safety. Yes, there are issues, but our city has done a great job of funding its police and fire, and that takes up, with that and city personnel, that takes up most of the budget, and which is important, right? But that is why there is debt, because there is no, budgets only increase about, some years it's 3.5%, but right now 5% a year. And that's what covers the city's road maintenance, that's what covers the personnel, 70% of the budget is personnel. So part of the reason there is debt is because that is what has financed our infrastructure, our parks, and our schools. Anyway, the other thing so I think that will be a priority to continue. I do want to I am sure that there are projections that show enough revenue to cover the debt. Debt is only 17% of the revenue of Carmel. I do treasure our lovely residential areas. And so I think we are in a place where we can be very strategic about where new growth occurs. And we want to preserve our beautiful residential areas and the quality of life. And also obviously take care of maintaining roads and continuing to work on our amenities. I care about, I want some housing studies. I care about getting input from folks on parks, on public safety, on housing, on capital planning, and certainly the needs of seniors. I am a good listener. I'm analytical and independent, and I would really appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Hi there. Thank you for giving us an opportunity to speak in front of a huge crowd and the experienced crowd too. My name is Van. I'm running for Carmel City Council on the West Carmel. Like I think Lauren has just mentioned, west of everything on the town road to the Michigan road. The reason why we moved from India to this country is for education. Like my wife has 2 master's degrees and she has a passion. After the marriage, she said, I want to do a master's degree in United States. So someone has to pay the bill, right? So I moved along with her, and then she did master's. She has 4 master's degrees, and then she is doing research in music. So she has master's in physics, master's in computer science, and master's in finance, and so on and so on. The reason why I am running for the city council is I have worked with a lot of nonprofit agencies in the last 7 years as a secretary, joint secretary, president, vice president, and then so on. I'm still a part of Carmel School Education Foundation board member. I'm also a board member for the India Association of Indianapolis. In last 7 years, I've seen so many financial statements. So not just one agency, so many agencies. There are some agencies like nonprofit agencies who says, okay, we are doing excellent, but there is no balance in the bank. So we always tell one side of the story, especially when we talk about the financial statements and balance sheets. So we are always doing good, we are always making money, but there is no balance left in the bank. Means they are spending more than what they are making, right? So there are a couple of reasons why I'm running. So income to debt ratio. So every homeowner knows what is an income to debt ratio. When the debt is more, you are not getting any finance from any bank. And we are spending, my son says that, Dad, we are using credit card to pay the credit card balance. That's the kind of lifestyle we are living in Carmel right now. That is one second reason. And the third reason is, I mean, there are some good reasons that we can talk about. I think most of us have already talked about, like the infrastructure, schools. I have 4 kids. My eldest one is in the second year of medical school. All my kids go to Carmel High School, Carmel schools. And we want our kids to be a well-rounded citizen, not just only doing one best thing in one school kind of thing. So those are the good part of the Carmel that we have. We like to stay in this city. There is one last thing I want to talk about. I don't want to take a full 5 minutes. I don't have much to talk about. I think I already raised a couple of issues. When we promise that we are going to give something to someone, we should have a plan before that. My dad and my mom, they are 85 years old. They're just like one of you guys staying in India, and my brother lives with them. I was sharing that information with them. So someone has to take care of them. You cannot just let go. So one of my prime reasons is inclusive growth. Inclusive growth means we have put too many eggs in the downtown. So too many eggs in the nest. Everything is happening in the downtown. Nothing happens around the city of the Carmel City. If you see, like I've been to a couple of HOA meetings south of 106, 96, between 96 and 106. There are many homeowners associations struggling to get the streetlights into their own community. So we do nothing for the HOAs. I mean, we call them once in a year, once in 3 months, say that, hey, we do this, and then you have your questions, that's it. After that, we don't do anything for them. Got it. So what I feel is like, I mean, the inclusive growth is for all of them, not just for only the central part of the Carmel. It is for the across the city. And that applies for all age groups, not just for one age group. I think I like a couple of guys. I think Chuck, he was just mentioning it right. I mean, we need to pay attention to the experience. And there is a lot of input that we need to take from them rather than just flying and then doing whatever that comes into our mind. And one last thing I want to point out, let us eliminate all the yes men from the council. Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I want to start with a couple of thanks. First of all, to PrimeLife for having us here. It's a great opportunity for us. Second, obviously, to all of you guys who are giving up your time to come and listen to what we've got to say. And we've all got quite a lot to say, right? But the next thank you is potentially, I think, the most important. I want to say thank you to all of you, because for the first time, I think, everybody in Carmel has a choice at the ballot box in November. We've got Republicans, we've got Democrats. We're all here today. We're all here because we care about Carmel, right? Running for election is probably the ultimate way to make yourself vulnerable, right? Oh, sorry, I didn't say my name. Thank you. My name's Sarah Draper, and I'm running for Carmel City Council at large. We're all here because we care, and we all want to listen to you guys. So I'm really grateful that everybody's here and we have a choice. I think that's something to really celebrate. A supermajority of any colour is not a good thing, red or blue. So a little bit about me. You've gathered not only that I forget my own name occasionally, but that I'm not from here. I'm British born, but I'm a Hoosier by choice. I'm an Oxford graduate. I graduated speaking 5 languages. I went to work in London for the biggest accounting firm in the world at the time. I was an auditor for 2 years. Then I went to work for Ford Motor Company, and I ran one of their customer satisfaction surveys across Europe, where my languages came in pretty handy. And I married my husband. And then in December 1999, he threw me somewhat of a curveball. American sporting analogy, do I get points for that? He said, I've been offered a job by Eli Lilly in Indianapolis. He said, we need to move in January 2000. It's a new life for a millennium. Irresistible, right? So here we are. So 23 years ago, we moved to Hamilton County, and I've lived in Carmel for just short of 16 years. We adopted our daughter here through lawyers in Carmel. She is a graduate of Carmel High School, 2019. She was a swimmer. She was involved in WHJE radio. So I know firsthand how wonderful our schools are. When we moved here, I was unable to work. I was what's called a trailing spouse. He didn't tell me that before I agreed to come. So for the first 8 years we lived here, I was unable to work. I couldn't even get a Coles charge card. Everybody can get a Coles charge card, right? So what did I do? I raised my daughter and I decided I was going to give back. We were already building this amazing life here. And I feel the most immense debt of gratitude that I'm living this life here in Carmel, that I've been able to provide this life to my child, that I have my child. I wouldn't have her if we hadn't moved to Carmel. So pretty basic. I've given back in a bunch of ways. I've been a foster parent. What I've done for a large number of years is I'm a guardian ad litem, which is someone who is trained to advocate for children involved in abuse and neglect cases. I'm super passionate about that. I've been doing it for, I think, 12 years. And one of the things I realized about being a guardian ad litem when I decided to run for council was it's the ideal skill set. What I do, I interview everybody involved in the case. I take everybody's opinions. I meet the child. I get to know the child. And I decide what I think is in the child's best interest. Then I stand up in court and defend it. And let me tell you, my opinion is usually not the most popular one in the room. That's like being a council member, right? The project comes before the council, you learn about it, hopefully, do your research, talk to people in the community, and figure out what's the best course of action for everybody in Carmel. So in short, I want to represent everybody in Carmel. In the UK, we have the National Health Service, and it was founded with the intention it would look after people from cradle to grave. And Carmel needs to be somewhere where people can thrive, everybody can thrive, from cradle to grave, regardless of faith, gender, sexuality, socioeconomic status. And I intend to get elected to the council and stand up for all of you and be transparent, accessible, and really behave in what I think is in the best interests of the people I represent. So thank you for listening.
Well, good afternoon at this point. It's awesome to be back. I'm Matt Snyder, running for City Council at large. Many of you know me. One of my cohorts, Mary Eckert, that has served with me on the Clay Township Board for the last 12 years. I have had the privilege to serve all of you. One thing you won't hear from me, I don't make blanket statements of things that I say we're going to do that I don't think can get done. And everything I say I'm going to do, we have done. And with Mary's help, who's in the audience, we have raised, remodeled, or rebuilt every fire station in Carmel. We have raised, remodeled, and rebuilt every single park in Carmel. I have already served you at large for the last 12 years, and I look forward to serving you at large now in the City Council. My three primary platforms are infrastructure, roads and bridges. I build roads and put in sewers for a living. That's what I do. That's what I know. Parks. Parks give you a quality of life unmatched by anywhere else in this state, probably the country. By every measurable metric in the United States, we have the greatest parks department in the United States. Some of that is thanks to our Parks Board president, Mr. Rich Taylor. We have the greatest fire department in the United States by every measurable metric. I cannot speak quite about the police department because they have never fallen under my purview, but I do remember one day the police chief came to a Clay Township board meeting and said, sometimes we're first on the scene. And we don't have the police officers don't have the adequate ability to be that first responder in a crisis. And I think it was like $120,000 or something for defibrillators. And he finished by saying, if you guys could take this under consideration. And I leaned over to Mary and I said, Mary, what is there to consider? Let's do it now. So when I say I'm for public safety, I can point to what I've done for the last 12 years. And Carmel is safer for it. As far as moving forward, I grew up here. I was born in Carmel. I would say I have been here since 1983, like Mr. Ford, except I was born in 1983. But I'll give him this. He was one hell of a teacher of mine at Carmel High School. I don't know if I was a star pupil, but I was a memorable one. But one thing I love about Carmel High School is it's always been a unifier. It's been a unifier of the community. And that's been very important to me as somebody who was born here, loves this community. Now we've got Midtown that kind of unifies the community. But there are 55 square miles in Carmel, and I don't intend to neglect any of them. And that's why I'm so big on parks and public safety, because it impacts every bit of the community we love and live in. And the same goes with infrastructure, potholes. We've got a great place to live. I love it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been here for 40 years. I look forward to serving you. I hope to see you elect us and our great candidates up here. There are going to be 6 new council members, 6 new faces on city council come November. It's going to be a tough choice for many of you, but I hope to be one of them. Thank you, guys.
Good afternoon. My name is Rich Taylor. I'm running for Carmel City Council at large. I'd like to thank PrimeLife for having us here this evening. I know I won't be able to talk about everything I want to talk about in the 3 minutes today. So I do want to point out that I have my card here with my website. Also, if you don't mind stopping and talking to me before you leave, I'll give you my personal cell phone number. Open and transparent communication is one important form of service that our city council needs to provide to constituents. At large, you can vote for me anywhere in the city of Carmel, and I hope I have your vote. Let me tell you a little bit about my background. I'm married with 2 children. A headhunter brought me to Carmel in 2005. I've been in finance and banking for over 18 years. I have a strong knowledge of municipal finance and budgeting. If you're not familiar with Carmel Clay Parks is one of the best park systems in the country. We also, if you don't know about the finances at Carmel Clay Parks, 75% of our budget is funded not by taxpayer dollars. Only 25% of our budget is funded by taxpayer dollars of our annual operating budget. In 2010, the township trustee, Doug Callahan, asked for my help. I've always been a servant leader, whether it's president of Carmel Rotary, which we help fund one of the buses or vans for PrimeLife here, and or if it was Chausey's Place as president of the board there, helping to combat child sexual abuse and suicide in our community, or if it was the Library Foundation board. I've always served as a servant leader. But back to parks, I was asked by trustee Doug Callahan because at the time, the Monon Community Center was struggling financially. They built the center, it finished in 2007, and I was asked to serve in 2010. At that time, the operational revenue was not covering the operational expenses of the Monon Community Center. But the commitment to the community was we would build that center, but would not have to be regularly taxpayer supported. I joined that board with a number of other great appointees, and by the end of that year, the Monon Center was self-sufficient. The operational revenue covered the operational expenses. That has been our commitment every single year since 2010, besides COVID, that the Monon Community Center operational revenue has covered its operational expenses. I know how to manage a budget. I know how to lead a budget. I've underwritten small businesses and businesses throughout this community for many years. So I understand strong fiscal management. During COVID, we were required to be shut down for almost 6 months. Luckily, we had a $3.5 million operating reserve from cash proceeds from the Monon Community Center to cover that without having to go back to taxpayers. So thank you for the township to trusting in me to serve the community, and I've been honored to serve. One of my big pillars you can read more about, but I think this is very important. When you look at managing a business or managing a Monon Community Center or managing a community's budget, is strong capital asset management planning. We did this for parks in 2016. Many of our parks were built relatively around the same time. So what does that mean? That those components of the park are going to need to be repaired or replaced around the same amount of time. So we have to have strong fiscal management and planning in order to plan for those future expenses. How does that translate to the city council? Many of our streets, many of our roundabouts, many of our community assets have been built around the same time. We need to create a strong and fiscally responsible capital asset management plan to ensure that we can maintain and continue to improve the amazing amenities and assets that we have in our community. So if you would vote for me on Tuesday, May 2nd, and again in November, my commitment is to work hard to put in strong fiscal management and capital asset management planning. Please stop and talk to me afterwards so I can provide my cell phone number so I can give you more information about myself than I might be able to provide in the 3 minutes here. But I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you and hopefully talk to you more. Thank you.
Well, you made it. I'm the last one. Feels like it's been a marathon here today. Thank you very much for inviting us and giving us this opportunity to speak to you today. My name is Jeff Worrell. I currently serve on the City Council at large, and I am running for that same position. This will be my third term, should I be elected, and I do ask for your support. Just a little bit of history. I actually served on the PrimeLife Enrichment Board of Directors. Was one of the first boards that I was appointed to, and I feel like I've given a large part of my life trying to make Carmel a great place to live. And one of the things that I've always believed in and our family believes in is giving back to our community. So I did have the opportunity to work with your previous executive director, Sandy. But I also have some guiding principles that I've tried to use as I serve you. First one is that you will never see me disparage our community or my colleagues. And it hasn't always been that way when I first ran in Carmel, but I do not intend to embarrass our community. The second thing is that I'm open to any idea, regardless of whose idea it is, who's going to get the credit, what party it is. I will consider every idea, and I've heard some today, and I'm willing to consider every one of them. But I'm going to always consider those ideas using facts and data, and I'm going to try and remove or at least temper the emotion. There is a lot of emotion that we deal with as city councilors. I have empathy for that emotion. I understand it, but sometimes I have to do what I think is best for the community at large. I do believe that it is very important that we support the PrimeLife Enrichment Center. I've served on the board. I have a soft spot. So I do want to fix this funding problem that we seem to have and that frankly just recently I found out about. Now, I am one of 3 city councilors, if I'm elected, and there's always a big if, but if I'm elected, one of 3 city councilors that will return to the city council. So I am actually focused in the early days to be a mentor. Whoever of all of these great candidates is elected, I do promise to help at least share any institutional knowledge that I might have, as city councilors did to me when I was first elected in 2016. And one of the things that I thought we could do is do some workshops, and you do have my commitment that I will assist you in doing that, whoever is elected, to at least give them the tools, because the first thing that I try and do as a city councilor is to be your advocate. And if you have a problem with drainage in your backyard, you have problems with a sidewalk. I've already answered a couple of questions about sidewalks or lights. We do have a program. We have a full program to put in lights for HOAs. I'm happy to teach how we do that. That is one of our biggest jobs, is to be your advocate. And so I believe that I need to share connections to our department heads, connections to how the system works in order for any of these people to be effective. That's my first thing. The second thing is, I've heard a lot about our debt, and I'm sure there are more questions to come. I've made it my mission over my 3 terms to explain how Carmel spends money. And I have just released my 3rd video that explains. It's at jeffforcarmel.com, where I've done my best to try and explain to you why this large number you keep hearing about, you only pay as residential property taxpayers 13% of it. So if you want to know more, I will be over here at the table. I didn't sprinkle my stuff around the tables. Shame on me, I'm just now learning how to campaign, okay? I apologize. But they're over here at the table. I'm happy to speak to anyone. I try and be a person who is going to respond to your concerns, to your issues, to your problems. And I must tell you, it has been my honor to serve you.
All right, thank you to all the candidates and thank you to the audience for their undivided attention. We're going to have a few questions here. Cindy, if you get a chance, if somebody has a question that they've written out, let Cindy know. And we're going to start off, we do have some questions that we're going to start off. We will go until 2:30 at the latest, but we'll give everybody a chance to leave at 2:30, and if anybody wants to stick around for other questions, we're open till 3 o'clock. So, but we still may be here even after that. So, again, our sincere appreciation to the candidates for coming, and to such a great group of public citizens here. It's just wonderful that we can use our facility for this kind of forum. So, again, our appreciation to all of you, and we're going to begin now with some questions.
Thank you so much. Okay, this is from an attendee today from the Northeast region or district. And here, okay, sorry. This is from a recipient here from the Northeast area. The question is, the city debt at 1.5 billion, how much more debt are you willing to approve if elected? So let's go to the Northeast candidates for that question.
Thank you for that question. Oh, sorry. So that is, I've been listening to what Jeff has said about the debt, and that's it's been a very politicized point. So for me, when I look at, sorry, I'm staying up, sorry. For me, when I'm looking at what's going on in Carmel, I think we need to be very responsible going forward. I think we need to look at every single project that's coming forward, and looking at exactly why it's needed, how it's needed. We have to be strategic and we have to be thoughtful. So not knowing, it has to be granular, so we have not knowing what it is and not knowing what it possibly would be. I would have to know exactly what the purpose was, how it was going to be used for, and it would have to really, really make sense. So the question would have to really technically be, I'd have to make a decision based on exactly what the project would be and why. Strategically, I would have to know. So does that make sense?
Oh, you're the only one? Okay, we have a question from the North Central District. How can we reach a middle of the road for senior living? It appears that at times when housing is subsidized through lower rent, the environment can become unsafe. How do you feel about subsidization of retiree living? So that's for the North Central.
We're gonna give you each like a minute and a half. You can each answer that question.
Well, Jeff, thank you for offering to train me. I honestly want to learn more about this. I want to do my research and get back to you with a full answer, if that is okay. And if it's okay to ask you to help me with that.
So we are, let's step out of here. So the way I would approach this question is it is very unclear
exactly what that question is referring to. Does it mean that they want Carmel to subsidize a developer to build apartments that have half the rate of, say, the average income? I don't know what they're asking for. So I would want to sit down with that person and find out exactly what are we dealing with, what do you want, and then determine, first of all, is it legal? Can we do it? Is it possible? Who's gonna, someone has to pay for this. So the way I would approach this is to find out more information. And I've heard several people say, talking about trying to, get educated before you make a decision. It's always about capacity of the city to fund things. That's what it always comes down to. It's capacity. Can you afford it? Just like we all do in our own checkbook. So not to hog the mic here, but that's how I would take it, because I frankly know nothing about subsidizing, nor have I had any experience subsidizing senior housing in our community.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So I wasn't completely wrong. I would like more information. So if I am able to have that person's information, that would be wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm not an expert in either. However, I have recently met with Henry Natetsky, who leads our Carmel Redevelopment Commission, in talking about low income section housing in development. So,
And that's different now when I'm talking about, yes, we do that.
oh no, yes. I actually don't need information or education right now, but thank you. But that is different. It's not senior subsidized housing, but there is a community that I believe was approved in North Central District that is 55 and over. So I will be learning more about that too. But what my understanding is that subsidized housing is required for that developer to get approval from the state to offer that. And so I'm interested in learning more about that too. But I'm also interested in some transparency, in fiscal transparency for our city council. And one thing that I've learned is a lot of times the developments that come in through the city, through the CRC, the city council might learn about those after they've already been approved. So that's something that I'm interested in too. I personally believe in preserving some of those older neighborhoods that are more affordable. And so that's something that I'm passionate about too.
Okay, I did do a little research about a week ago, but between the terms attainable and affordable housing, there's a big difference. Affordable housing usually revolves around some kind of subsidy. Historically in Carmel, we have not been receptive to that type of housing in our city. I don't know whether we've changed. I don't know. We'd have to probably survey. I do know that senior citizens make up right now about 30% of the population. And by the end of this decade, they'll make up about 40% of the population. So you senior citizens have the potential to be a very powerful political force, and to get what you need. I think we witnessed at the Clay Township board meeting how important and how significant the numbers were that showed up there. We had over probably 90 to 100 people showed up for that board meeting, and all of a sudden everybody's starting to listen to what I've been saying all along, that seniors need help. The PrimeLife building that we're in right now needs help financially, because in the economic situation we're at today, and because of the economy, because of COVID, our grants are down, our donations are down, and I honestly think it's a terrible way to run a business if you have to run it by crawling on your knees asking for grants and donations. I think in a city like Carmel, we ought to be able to afford to pay for a senior center. And I don't see any reason why we can't. It's just a matter of establishing new priorities for spending in the city of Carmel. So in terms of attainable and affordable housing, attainable means that you are able to live in a place and spend less than 30% of your income. It's not affordable if you have to spend more than 30% of your income. So in Carmel, it becomes a challenge because of the cost of living here. So I'm not sure what kind of solution we have for that, but we have not been receptive to what I call affordable income and subsidized housing in Carmel or really in Hamilton County.
Sure, okay, thank you.
Thank you. So I'm going to answer just a general question about housing for seniors because I've been walking through the neighborhoods of the North Central District and having a lot of conversations and having conversations with my own parents about, yes, we love that our property values are going up, but then if we sell, where can we live in Carmel? And I think that was brought up earlier. So this is something that we need to figure out to maintain the community that we have of all ages. So I'm not the expert in this, but what I think is the smart thing to do is to go to the experts. And so over the past couple of years, I've been meeting with people, not just at the city, but also have met with a couple developers regarding affordable housing. There's one in particular now that is hung out their shingle in Carmel because they want to focus here. And then I also have met and have been talking with Andrea Davis, who is the executive director of HAND. And so having conversations with her about all the different types of housing that we can be working on and developing for lots of different people, including our seniors. So thank you. Thank you.
Okay, our next question has to do with the new library renovation. Why has the library made the entrance so hard on disabled seniors?
West candidates.
That is my question. I am 89 years old. I am catastrophically disabled. And I can no longer get in through a front door of that library. I have to walk from a distance.
All right, well, we're going to pass that on to the West candidates.
There's nobody up here that can affect the library.
Actually, I can say something.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, not to jump in, but. So we just had a library presentation recently, and it was brought up about not having enough handicap parking on the upper level so you could directly go through the ramp. So, and the library director says that's already being considered to add more handicap parking.
It's no use whatsoever. I cannot really handle that ramp properly. The ramp is too long.
On the Sky Bridge?
Yes, on the
Okay.
Sky Bridge, it's too long.
Okay. One thing I want to note too, so Bob Swaney, director of the Carmel Public Library, I'm having a town hall tonight at Founders Park at 6:30. He's going to be there, and I'm going to get an answer for him on that. So, and I'll get with you later, get phone number or email. I'll get you an answer from Bob on that. Because I'm going to be seeing him today, so I'll make sure that gets answered.
Thank you. Okay, our next question, how can Carmel improve its image as a diverse community? And we're going to go to our at-large group.
Can we use the West because we skipped them on that last question?
Sure. Yep. All right.
Yeah, again, I represent a diverse community in Carmel too. We have about 7 different organizations within the Carmel that represents the communities from across the world. So we have International Fair, International Fest, and a lot of stuff that happens in the schools. I myself belong to 3 of those groups in the diversity. As far as the political ground is concerned, there are very few representations from the diverse communities, that is for sure. I think I might be the second or third guy who has showed up for, running for the city council or any level up to that level. But we do have a representation at the school level, in the Carmel high schools and then elementary and middle schools. We also have a representation in Indianapolis where they do cultural fair, arts festival and Asian festival. We are there we are also representing in the Carmel farmers market where every country is represented once in a week or once in a month, so that they can showcase the arts and then stuff like that, but nothing on the political field yet. Thank you.
I don't have a lot to add to what Ben just pointed out, but I do think, I mean, I see a lot of diversity as far as different ethnicities, cultures, religions, all around me in Carmel. So I do think Carmel's been pretty welcoming and open. Obviously, there's always room for improvement, and I am not somebody who's experienced what others have sometimes of any kind of bullying and so forth. I do know, I mean, I do believe our city employees should be well trained in bias and diversity and so forth. I have not heard, but again, I'm not on the council, so I'm not working for the city yet, so I haven't heard of any problems really within the city as far as personnel and so forth. So I guess I would just be open to hearing more if there are issues, and listening and seeing if there's ways we can always help. I know we can always improve our cities.
Thank you. Okay, for our Southeast group, I think. We have a question about, again, the affordability of Carmel. So it's really hard to afford a place to live.
Microphone.
We just want places to live for people with money.
All right, the question is affordability and housing in Carmel. Do we want people that just have money to move here? Absolutely not. I'm one of 7 kids. I grew up poor in rural Indiana, Greencastle, and then Martinsville before going off to college and being able to move to Carmel. I moved to Carmel for the schools, the ability to give my kids a better life than I had. And I think because of the prices of homes going way up, people can't do that anymore. When I bought my house, it was $170,000. It had not been touched since it was built in 1964. I renovated the whole thing myself to save money. I'm all about saving money. I'm cheap. Most of my clothes are from Goodwill. That's the way I function. And I think that's the way some of us have to function to live in Carmel, unfortunately. We can absolutely diversify the housing in Carmel. And that's also a way to bring diversity to Carmel. That previous question. The only people that right now can live in Carmel are the people that can afford it. And if we want a more inclusive, open, safe, secure, supportive Carmel, we got to be open for all. And we can do that.
So this is an issue that I feel very passionate about. Even before I was on the city council, I was an advisory board member for Hand Inc., the nonprofit that Teresa mentioned that works on affordable housing. And I've studied this issue. Leah said it. So, but if you look at it, say you go back 20, 30, 40 years, if you compare how much people's income has increased because of inflation compared to housing prices have increased 5 times the rate of inflation. This is a nationwide issue. It used to be people would spend maybe 1 paycheck out of the 4 weeks of the month on their housing. Now we see people having to work 3 out of 4 weeks out of the month just to pay their mortgage or their rent. So this is an issue nationwide. So what do we do about it locally? Well, the one thing we do, we can cut government red tape to reduce the cost of housing. We need to make sure that we're not creating unnecessary layers of government that increase the cost for homeowners. We need to look at the housing mix, both for empty nesters and apartments. A lot of apartments are being sold to us as affordable housing, but these are apartments with $1,600, $2,000, $2,200 rents. This is not affordable housing. We need empty nester housing. That actually would create affordable housing for families starting out. I've got a lot of people in my district who have 4 or 5 bedroom homes, say in Brookshire, and it's just them and their wife or just by themselves. They would love to downsize. They would love to stay in Carmel with a smaller house, but they want to be able to sell their house and use that money to get the next house. They don't want to sell their house and then go get a bank loan and then get a mortgage to move into a smaller house. So we need to have that housing stock in Carmel. But I want to make you one promise though, and I'm a member of the Plan Commission. While we do need to have affordable housing, I will never do it at the expense of the quality of housing. We've seen this in cities across the country where in order to get affordable housing, we've got cheap housing with unattractive architecture that brings crime into our city. I want affordable housing, but I will not do that.
Thank you.
So much. Okay, this next question goes along with that. And how about Ryan Locke? I don't think you've been able to speak with the question. So the property values continue to increase. Do you see property taxes becoming a burden to some homeowners?
So the question, property taxes, this is a huge question in Indiana. From a state perspective, we've capped property taxes at 1% for residential properties a decade and a half ago. What they didn't do was think strategically about what that meant for the ability to assess the value of a home and change that assessed value, which gave a lot of power to those individuals, those assessors across the state to change the tax revenue that local governments were pulling in, state government, based on that short-sightedness. So this, again, and I've been sitting there, my voice is dormant. I'm trying to awaken it. I've been sitting for so long. From a statewide perspective, this is an issue. And this is something that we face and we look at kind of on our individual tax bill because we see every year a 17%, a 14%, a 13% increase to our home's value by assessed value, which increases our taxes, right? It's happening everywhere. So there are some fixes. They're looking at ways to kind of fix this at the state level because they didn't, again, think about it. They're trying to find a way to cap that in a specific way that it doesn't harm residential tax process. One of the things we can do is be a voice for understanding how that impacts our constituents. One of the things that I am adept at from a state perspective is working with the state legislature, the federal government, getting things through the state house. One of the things I'm excited about is being a part of this community discussion about how this impacts us individually and how we can find a way to ensure that we don't lose the tax revenue we rely on to pay for the services that we provide and to cover the debt service that we have on the things that we've invested in our community, but protect our families, our individual homes, those investments we've made there as well. So that's a non-answer, which we get from politicians from time to time. But the answer to that is that there are things moving, that this becomes a thing we need to look at and be a voice in for not only us here at Carmel, but the rest of the state. Would love to learn more and figure out ways that we can make sure that doesn't impact us negatively. Thank you. My voice woke up right there at the end.
Okay, the very last question will be for our at-large group. And Sarah, if you want to start. There's a lot of senior citizens that live in Carmel, and with all the money spent on other things, why can't we get help for PrimeLife? PrimeLife helps more people, seniors, not just exercise, but all kinds of things, and they feed people, and they do it on a very strict budget.
Firstly, this is my first time at PrimeLife. I've heard about it from other people, and I'm blown away by what you've got here. I mean, it's a true gem, right, and needs to be supported. I found out about the funding gap just last week, and I think it's a priority to take care of everybody in the community. And again, lots to learn. Thank you to Councillor Worrell for being a willing teacher in the time to come. But it will be a priority for me to make sure that we can make this place function well and be available, because it clearly provides necessary services. So you have my promise that I will work hard to make it even better than it is already.
Thank you. Well, PrimeLife has been very important to me for many years. As some of you know, after my mother was in a coma for an extended period of time, it was PrimeLife that helped her get back functional through the pool program. Through the efforts of Clay Township since 2015, we've contributed nearly $170,000 to PrimeLife. It was just recently that we learned that I'm having some struggles. One thing I won't do is promise spending a bunch of money without an actual plan. So what I have done, initiated, and executed through the Carmel Clay Parks Department, through the enumerator powers from the state of Indiana, under Michael Klitzing's authority, have established the Committee for the Advancement of Senior Services. And that board is being formed right now. The first meeting will be here in the next several weeks to find out what the absolute needs are for the senior community. PrimeLife has a seat at that table because they are the most critical and instrumental focus we have here on senior services. So it doesn't make sense to recreate the wheel when you already have a fantastic organization. Now, how do we fund it? And I don't think anybody just wants to put a Band-Aid on it year after year after year. But what is a solvent, long-term solution so that they can have first-class facilities and first-class services and not have to worry about money every time payroll comes around? And that's my commitment. And I want to end with this, since this is the last question. I am a part of the PrimeLife family, and I know you guys, I lost a friend, and you guys lost a very, very special person and member of your community last week. And I just want to tell you how very sorry I am for you.
I think Matt touched on it, but coming up with sustainable solutions and plan. Strong capital asset management planning. You know, I remember when the pool addition was added on, received some sponsorship from St. Vincent Carmel and the programming there. One of the most underrepresented communities in our Carmel Clay Parks master planning process is seniors. So Carmel Clay Parks has initiated our community-wide comprehensive master planning process. Please, 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 you'll be provided opportunities. We'll make sure that we get it directly to PrimeLife to be involved in that master planning process, because we'll also incorporate some of these components on ways that the city, the township, and Carmel Clay Parks can partner with PrimeLife Enrichment to provide services and opportunities for seniors. It also is going to drive how we look at and develop Carmel Clay Parks throughout the entire system, just not partnerships directly related to this facility or possible programs and services that might be able to be offered at the Monarch Community Center. So if I could give one plug, please ensure that you respond and are involved in the comprehensive master planning process for Carmel Clay Parks, because as Matt touched on, that helps develop a sustainable plan for the future.
Thank you. So this is a perfect example of how things change. So when I was on the board, funding was always an issue at PrimeLife, but it never was the concern that it is now, because something changed. And that's what happens in the world we currently live in. So now I wanted to give kudos to Matt Snyder, who's taken it upon himself to come up with a strategy to try and formulate a plan that won't be good for just this year or next year, but will be good for the next 10, 20, or 30 years. And his plan includes the city council. He's given us a seat at the table. And as the council president, I will be assigning someone to fill that role. So, you know, it's like anything else. The details are important, and we've got to explore them and learn what they are. And I trust that that's what this committee will do. So, but we are committed to fixing the problem.
Thank you very much. Before we leave, I have to tell you that Matt and all of you who've spoken about the need to help find sustainable, ongoing revenue for PrimeLife. You're just hitting at all the hearts that we are here and on staff. And Michael Klitzing has invited me to be on this advisory committee, and I'm looking forward to hopefully doing my job to advocate and to find something that works for all of us. Okay, I tell people I don't like to bring out my MBA in accounting, because then they think I can answer all these finance questions. But I do understand the finances of any organization, company, city, state, or whatever. There has to be a solution, and I think this committee that Matt brought up is going to be pointing us in the right direction. And I know all of us are looking forward to a long-term future that we can keep serving all of the seniors here in Carmel, but also throughout Hamilton County. And this has been a great town hall. I want all of you, maybe we can give the candidates a round of applause for coming. And I want to thank Melody Cochran for being our moderator. Cindy for being our sergeant of arms. And Marcia and the other couple other board members who have been here, as well as we did have security here too. So I wanted, just in case it got out of hand. Again, thank you very much. We will wrap it up early now, but if anybody wants to stick around to take questions, ask questions, you're welcome to do so. We'll turn out the lights at 3 o'clock though. Okay, thank you.
I'd like to ask one quick question. We do have a list of all your names and your email addresses and the stuff that we won't give your home addresses, but if anyone has a problem with us handing out that list, let me know now. Am I all right? Okay, well, we're gonna take copies. So expect some emails.